What's up again, everybody? Today we're making a video that has been asked for from me by a couple of different people, and it's a video that I'm super excited to make. I've made something similar to it, but never anything quite like what I'm hoping to do today. Today we're going to do a complete starter guide for the game of Dice Masters. This is a game I'm still absolutely in love with. It is the game that launched this YouTube channel. It is what got me into competitive gaming, and I want to share it with you. If you've never heard of this game before, this is the video for you. I'm going to talk quickly through how the game works on a very quick level, just like what it looks like, and then how you can get into the game, what you would need to get into the game, where you would need to go to get into the game, that sort of stuff. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inundated with just a ton of information. So I've switched the camera up a little bit so I can kind of talk you through what the game looks like. Dice Masters is a 1 versus 1 card and dice game. I mean, it's a lot of ways you can describe it, kind of like a Magic the Gathering-esque game wherein you're like attacking your opponent. They have 20 life, you have 20 life, you win the game by reducing your opponent's life to 0, but the mechanisms that you use to actually go about doing that look a little bit unique, and it's essentially taking this battle idea where it's 1 versus 1 card battle, and it's turning it on its head where you're not bringing a deck of cards, you're bringing a team of cards, and then as you play, you're purchasing dice that correspond to these cards to actually use throughout the game. So you're never actually managing like your deck of cards, you're managing a bag of dice. So here's my dice bag that I've used forever. It is a Spider-Man dice bag, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna get these 8 sidekick dice, and they're just like generic dice that produce you resources. These different symbols represent the different resources in the game. There's mask, fist, question mark can go for anything, shield, bolt, and on one side, as you see right here, is a little 1/1 character. 1 attack, 1 defense. To put it out into the field and use it, it costs 0. Sometimes that number will change. Obviously, sometimes the stats will change. You begin the game, you begin the game with these in your bag, and this is all you have access to at the beginning of the game. So just like a deck building game in any other like form or fashion, this is a dice building game. You're going to start with basic energy or basic resources, and you're going to spend these as you go to purchase characters, actions, and things like that from your side of the field or side of the board. So you're going to create a standard deck or team of 8 cards. This is a team I just had sitting around from a video series that I've been working on with a friend, been playing around some games with a friend, and then you're going to pick these 2 basic actions, and basic actions are a subtype of card that are denoted there at the top. Both players can purchase dice from these, but from these cards only you can purchase dice from and actually use. And it's very cool. Like, these are the dice, they're the same size as those sidekicks, and you'll be spending energy to purchase these throughout the game. And obviously, just like any other game, different characters have different strengths and weaknesses, different card effects, and you can access those by buying them or through other means as well. It is incredibly deep. It's been a long running game for a while, and because of that, there are tons of sets that you can go out and purchase. And I think one of the coolest things about this is the IP or the IPs, I should say, are the IPs that they have access to. So WizKids produces this game, and because WizKids produces this game, they have access to a bunch of different IPs through other, like games that they've produced. Like, for example, they've had HeroClix for decades, and because they've had access to these IPs, they leveraged those into the game of Dice Masters. So, for example, we have Marvel characters like Black Widow, for example, DC characters with Aquaman. We've got Marvel characters in Kree Captain, Clayface, Typhoid Mary. They have wrestling. They have WWE superstars. They have an entire set dedicated to it. So if you like wrestling, you can actually mix characters from like Marvel and DC with The Rock which is just cool. I like Drax in here. I think that's fun. They have characters from D&D. They have several D&D sets. In fact, D&D is one of my favorite IPs in this game. They have, let's see, they have Warhammer 40K. They have a Warhammer 40K set. The list goes on and on. It's really cool. They have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How did I forget about them? And all of these characters and IPs can be cross-referenced and built within like a single team. So here is an actual team that I have played that uses Marvel characters, DC characters. It uses a superstar from WWE, all to do a very specific thing to drain your opponent's life, for example. An example of a quick, easy turn looks like this. You shake your bag up, okay? You draw 4 dice at random from it, and you're then going to roll these 4 dice for any energy that you might want to use. And resources in this game are called energy. There's 3 different resources that I've rolled here, and then there's 1 sidekick that I could use as a 1/1 attacker or blocker. And you do get a reroll, so if I wanted to, I could reroll like these 2, and they come up something different. In fact, in this case, they came up literally the same. And that is one of the beautiful things about this game, is the calculating the different probabilities and the possibilities and trying to be really flexible and play to what you could roll, what you want to roll, what your worst case scenario is. It is incredibly thinky, and it rewards you for thinking through all of these different outcomes and playing to the outcome that you could find most beneficial, or that in a moment you think is the line that you would most like to take. So in this instance, after I've done my roll and then I get to choose to re-roll or not, I then can move to the phase where I can like buy stuff, or I can put things out in the field. So there's a field zone, there's a pool where you kind of keep everything, and so I would put this into the field zone, which I have up at the top here. I would then pay these resources to purchase these characters. So for example, if I wanted to buy, I don't know, let's say Black Widow. If I wanted to buy Black Widow here, I'd just reference the top left of her card. I'd see that for 2 resources, I can purchase her, and then one of those resources has to be a mask in order to purchase her. So I could pay 1 mask and 1 fist, or I could pay 1 mask and 1 question mark, or I could pay a question mark as a mask and a fist. So I can use these different energies in different ways so that I can pay those off to the side and pick up one of her dice. Now, why or when do you get access to those? Well, that's a great question. After you've done this whole thing a second time, this is still sitting over off to the side waiting for the time to shine. Let's say we buy something else. We'll put a sidekick out and we'll pay 2 to buy another one. After your bag is empty, or at the point where you start your turn and you try to draw dice or 4 dice and you can't get any dice, you're going to reload your bag with the dice that you've been purchasing with, as well as the dice you've bought already. And at that point, those Black Widows or those dice, whatever, have entered circulation. And wow, that's a really good pull. Look at that. I got both of them. You now have the chance or the probability of pulling those. And all of this is calculable. You can think of the numbers in your head. All of this is open information. Your opponent knows exactly how many dice you start with, what they are, and then they can watch you purchase things. In fact, your opponent can even go so far as to know exactly what your team is supposed to do, and if they're good enough, they can pivot their strategy based on what they've brought to the table to beat you without you even knowing it. Like, they just start buying things on their side that they may not normally purchase because they know it's going to be good against what you're trying to do. And so there's just tons of rewarding gameplay and team building based around all of these fundamentals of calculating probability, open information. It plays very similarly once you've got characters out. A character with, like for example, a 2/3 stat line here goes up against a blocking character that your opponent has assigned to block it, and then the 3/4, the 3 attack beats the 3 defense because they tie, so it would knock this one out. and then the 2 attack doesn't beat the 4 defense, so this one would survive. It feels a lot like Magic. You're not tracking life totals as they go. They kind of heal at the end of the turn, and if something gets knocked out, it actually goes back and gets circulated and rolled again the next turn. So you're never losing things to a discard pile. Things are always moving in circulation, moving into your roll, moving into the side over here, reloading into your bag. It is phenomenal. I could talk about this game forever. And in fact, I have talked about this game for like 5.5 years, as long as this YouTube channel has been going. And I just wanted to start this whole thing off with like what the game is. And that, in a nutshell, is Dice Masters. So now let's talk about what kinds of things you'd want to actually go and get if you wanted to try the game out. Okay, so I've repositioned the camera, try to get things out of the way so that I could put these on the screen for you. But let's talk through this. This is the #1 product I recommend you go and pick up and purchase. You could possibly find it at an LGS. You could ask them to order it for you, or you can find this on a variety of different stores online. I think WizKids even has their own store where they sell these. These are campaign boxes. Okay, so the game of Dice Masters has done a lot of different I guess forms, has been purchasable in a lot of different forms. It started with gravity feed kind of booster packs, where the booster packs gave you 2 cards, the dice that go with those cards, like 1 die per card, and they were $1. It's super cheap, like ridiculously cheap. That's another great thing about this game. It is so easy to just jump into and pick up because the barrier of entry is so low, and the game is just so endlessly replayable. But they've then shifted out of that, and they started doing these things called draft packs. Draft packs look like this. They're literally draftable. Oh geez, literally I just dropped everything. Oh my goodness, that was the worst. Whatever, who cares? This is a draft pack. Draft packs are super fun. They're super cool. They are a draft in a box. You can draft the old blister booster packs, but these are a streamlined version of that. They did this for a little while, and then they moved to this product, which I think is a great way to get into the game. It is a campaign box. It's literally a set in a box. Okay, you get just a full stack of cards. You get these little play mats to kind of like figure out how to play the game. You get 2 dice bags. You get just a fat stack of cards, literally every card in the set. You get the sidekick dice. You get any other dice you might need. You get all the dice for all the cards. It's perfect. And it's all in like one solid price, depending on what set you're looking at and what like where you're buying it from. It could vary between like $30, maybe $40, depends on where you're getting it. But this is a fantastic product if you're looking to pick the game up and just figure it out, because everything that you need to play it comes in here, including rulebook. They have, like I said, tons of different IPs. This is the Warhammer set that they released. They've got, let's see what else. I'm just gonna throw them, just throwing them, everyone. They've got the WWE set, which is pretty cool. This one was the most recent campaign box. And they've shifted out of campaign boxes. Now that they've produced like a bunch, they've shifted out of those back into those draft packs. In fact, this is the most recent set, is this Infinity Gauntlet draft pack set. Trouble in Waterdeep, fantastic D&D sets. Literally, if you enjoy D&D, pick up any D&D set they've ever released, and you will just have the time of your life with this stuff. It is my favorite IP, just straight up. This right here, though, this is my favorite campaign box they've ever released. The X-Men Forever campaign box. If you're gonna buy one campaign box and you don't care about the IP, you just need something that's good, this is the one. This is the one you should buy. Go and find this somewhere. Buy this. All of the other ones are pretty solid. In fact, this next one's also very, very good. That WWE one is pretty good. The D&D one is like right behind the one I just talked about. Justice, if you like DC, Justice is a fantastic campaign box. It's got many of the characters you love. There's wonderful like card synergies between the Justice League and between the villains that they oppose. So it's all very, very cool. But all of these are great pickups. What I would say is find an IP that you really enjoy, something that you really like. Like just, I love Marvel characters. I love the MCU, so I'm going to find some Marvel stuff. I love reading DC comics, so I'm going to go grab some DC stuff, right? I love D&D because D&D is amazing, so I'm going to go grab D&D stuff. find something that you enjoy and pick up the campaign box first. You can sit down at the kitchen table, you can figure out how to play it with a family member or a friend or something like that, and you can find out very easily at a low barrier of entry, cost-wise, if this is something you want to go further into. Okay, we're back to this screen because I don't think I need to show anything. If I forgot, I'm just going to pan back to me. And I'm so much darker in this screen. I don't know why. Who cares? Okay, let's assume you've picked up a campaign box and you're like, this is pretty fun. I enjoy the mechanics. I like the way it works. What's the next step? Okay, the next step is watch every video I've ever made on Dice Masters. No, don't do that. You would be sitting for a long time. The next step is actually to think about formats. There are multiple formats in this game, and the most important, I put in quotes, the most important format is the modern format. Okay, so modern format is sort of like modern in the sense that like standard is for Magic the Gathering. If you're coming from that perspective, if you don't know what Magic the Gathering is, or if you've never played a card game or like that sort of kind of game before, then think of it this way: Dice Masters has been around for like 6 years, maybe more. No, 7. I don't know. It's been around for a while, 6 years, and they've released like I don't know 20 something sets. Let's just say put a huge number. They've released 200 sets. They haven't released 200 sets. Let's just pretend. It would be really, really uncool if every single card in the entire game, including the most powerful cards ever printed, were still available to all competitive players at like tournaments, for example. Because a new player coming to the game would have to go out and buy all of those most competitive cards just so that they could try and win the tournament, right? So the format that is the most slimmed down is called Modern, and it basically is a format wherein the most recent X number of sets are allowed to be built with and put onto teams so that you can play this at tournaments and things like that, right? So modern format currently encompasses, and this is at the time of recording because they could update this as they do yearly, they change things around sometimes. At the time of recording, modern format includes all of the campaign boxes that I was showing you. That's the modern format. It also includes that Infinity Gauntlet draft pack set that they released. Those are modern. And so this is literally the perfect time to jump into the modern age format and to just jump into Dice Masters in general because it's so easy to buy those things. It is so simple. It is literally a set in the box. So if you buy the variety that they have of campaign box products, then you have the entire collection of modern format things. You know what I mean? You have access to literally every card in the modern format, and that is unprecedented across games, and that's simply because they did this LCG format for like 2 years, and so modern format is made up of the LCG stuff. So it's the perfect time to pick up the game if you want to approach it from a more competitive standpoint. Now you may also ask, okay, so if that's the modern format, is there another format? Yes, there's literally like unlimited. It's called Golden Age. It's every set ever released, and there's a variety of other formats that WizKids has officially sponsored, and some really, really great fan-made formats as well that I won't discuss all of the different formats because honestly they should all get their own videos. But yeah, there's a wealth of formats that you can tap into, the main two being Modern and Golden Age. You may also wonder, okay, so if there are like modern age formats so that you can play in tournaments, are there tournaments? And the answer is yes. Most of the tournaments lately have been online, and in fact I will say I have never seen as a robust online community as there is in Dice Masters. So during this entire COVID break, people have slowly started shifting to online play for card games like Magic the Gathering. There was this huge article written about people trying, to play Magic the Gathering with physical cards and doing it over like webcams, and look how cool this is. Well, Dice Masters has literally been doing that since like 2016, running tournaments with prizing since like 2016. I know because I ran several of the first ones, like it's been going for a while, and people have fully embraced it, and it's allowed the community of Dice Masters, the competitively minded community of Dice Masters, to really, really hone their skills and really focus in on the meta each time the meta has shifted. It's provided some absolutely great gameplay out there on the internet, so I'd highly recommend you going and checking out all of the other content creators that produce content for Dice Masters. Heck, there was a tournament this past weekend that was hosted by it's a YouTube channel called the Ministry of Dice. They also do a fantastic podcast, and there were people literally all over the world, that sat down via webcam to play with physical cards and dice. And this is not an uncommon occurrence, and it hasn't been an uncommon occurrence. It's very common, very popular. So if you enjoy the competitive aspect, this is a game for you. It is not only just tooled for competitive players in the sense that if you can come up with what your opponent is trying to do, and if you can crunch the numbers and realize how to pivot your team, and if you're a good team builder or a deck builder, whatever you want to call it, this game rewards you greatly for that in the possibility of winning a lot. Not only do you have that, but the community around it is also supportive of you playing in tournaments. So highly recommend picking this up if you enjoy that. Heck, you could be the next world champion when they do Worlds again, because we did Worlds in 2019 and then COVID stopped Worlds in 2020. So here's hoping Worlds in 2022. I don't know, maybe we get a Worlds in 2021. Maybe we're super lucky. But WizKids, the company, did put on a World Championship a couple years back, and you can actually watch the entire World Championship stream that we streamed on this channel if you want to go do that. It was fantastic. It was a ton of fun. So where do you go to get plugged in with this community? And it is a really good community to get plugged into. It is literally just absolutely full of people that are very loving and caring of each other, who support each other with, like extras, who set like new players up with tons of stuff, who are just very kind people. This is the kindest community I've ever been a part of. And so if you want to get connected to this, hit up all of the Discords. I'm going to put a link to the Discords in the comments below. I'll put a link to like a bunch of other YouTube content creators as well. There's some fantastic ones. If I literally list all of them, we'll be here for another 10 minutes. But I'll put a bunch of them in the comments below. And yeah, you should check out all of that. That is just a fantastic way to get plugged in. The Facebook groups as well. Dice Masters Unlimited Facebook group is the #1 Facebook group to go to and just join and be a part of, because a lot of discussion happens over there. The Dice Masters Online Discord is the #1 Discord, in my opinion, to be a part of for Dice Masters, because conversations going on over there as well. So that's the game of Dice Masters. That is a I don't want to say it's an exhaustive starter video, but it certainly has a lot of information in it. So if you enjoyed this, if you're more intrigued about the game, if you're interested in picking it up, leave a like and a subscribe. That'd be super helpful. Check it out. We're actually literally going to cross, with one more person, we're literally going to cross that threshold above me, which is kind of cool. And hit up all of these resources that I'm putting all over the video and in the comments and in the description, because the game's fantastic and you got to give it a try. At least give it a try and see if it's for you. At the very least, you can do that, because it's not going to cost you much, and you may gain a whole ton of stuff and friends and wonderful experiences like I have since I jumped into the game like 5.5 years ago. So that's what I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching.